WFXS, once again.
Your sports radio. Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority. WFXS America. 98.7 The Fox State College.
Happy Valley United is the NIL collective that serves all 31 sports and over 850 student athletes at Penn State. These opportunities allow student athletes to engage with charitable causes and participate in business engagements to build their brands while making a positive impact. The collective connects fans, alumni, businesses, and charities with student athletes harnessing the power of Nittany Nation. Go to happyvalleyunited.com to connect with your favorite Nittany Lion team.
Whether a department outing, entertaining your clients, or reconnecting with your family and friends, let Revel XP take the hassle out of tailgating. Simply show up and immerse yourself in the tailgating experience. Full service includes bellhops helping upon arrival and tear down when you're ready to leave. Revel XP elevates your tailgate. Reach out to us directly at 814-933-4100 or go to revelxp.com for more info.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
Hello and welcome to Friday Football Frenzy, brought to you by Keystone Sports Network, Fox Sports Radio 98.7, and Happy Valley United, the Penn State collective supporting over 800 student athletes. Now, let's start the football frenzy.
Hello and welcome to the Friday Football Frenzy, brought to you by Happy Valley United. That voice is that of Chris Buchignani. He is here with me. Our show is brought to you by Happy Valley United, supporting 31 sports, over 800 student athletes here at Penn State. We're coming to you on Fox 98.7 in State College. And we're also coming to you live from the new Buffalo Wild Wings in downtown State College on Garner Street. The gang is all here. I am Jim Galanti. That voice you heard earlier was that of Chris Buchignani.
Hey, folks.
And of course, Executive Director of Happy Valley United, Mike Villagrana. If he could set his phone down and get his headset
Hey, Jim,
on.
that dude is on a more important call than anything you and I are going to do all weekend.
That's not
So
true.
let him
That's
get
not
the
true.
headset on.
That's not true.
Is that the new Penn State head coach that you had on? You were on the phone with, Mike?
It was his agent.
It was his agent?
Yeah.
Okay, just
Yeah.
working out details?
Yeah, details, and then we're almost there. We're almost at the finish line.
Okay.
You can just say it was Jimmy Sexton because he's every coach's agent.
Yeah. No, you know what's
Yeah.
funny? I just saw a tweet about some national media member saying this is the Mona Lisa for Jimmy Sexton. And it really is. It's setting up to be the Mona Lisa for him.
He's lived his whole life for this. So just between me and you and our listeners.
Yep.
What is your position going to be with the new administration? Are you going to be the GM? Is that?
Yes, I'm going to handle all. I'm going to do everything. I'm going to handle facilities. I'm going to handle cap. I'm going to handle roster acquisition. I'm doing it all. I'm doing it all.
That is great. Yeah, and
I hope everybody feels good about that.
I feel great personally.
Hey, come on. Let's just tell our listeners our campaign that started a couple weeks ago for me to get the head coaching job. I'm the one you're talking about. Jimmy Sexton is also my agent.
Yeah. Like I said, this is Mona Lisa. He's got a lot of things, a lot of pieces moving around.
All right. Let's shift gears. Let's talk about. You know what, guys? This is our last time together for this football season.
I know it's wild,
isn't it? How fast does this season go, Chris?
They always go fast. The off season feels like it lasts forever, and especially August. Now, at least like if you're in the building, there's stuff going on in August. There's camp. There's like things are speeding up. If you're a fan, the days of August drag on. And then the worst part of it, honestly, is when the NFL preseason starts. So they're like teasing you with football, but it's only kind of football and not really. In some ways, that's worse, right? And then the season gets here and it's gone like that.
There is no sport worse than preseason NFL football in my mind. And I'm a guy.
Clearly, you've never watched preseason hockey.
Well, you're right. I don't.
Yeah.
But I will watch spring training baseball.
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I will. Is there anything worse than NFL preseason football?
It's the worst. Unless you're following Hard Knocks. Like, it makes it a little bit more interesting because you're seeing those players that are trying to make the 53-man roster, those guys on the back end, and they chronicle that stuff. I get joy out of that, but no, the games are terrible. They're the worst. It's just like spring games in college football. They're the worst.
It is. I've already stayed outside for the tailgate and not walked in for the blue-white game. It was a good tailgate, though. You mentioned, though, August as the worst. I find July to be the worst. Waiting.
Middle of July is when it starts for me, that anxiety kind of, that nervousness, like, oh, here we go. We're about to start cranking it up because then the media days start, right? And so you start watching every conference's media days and it starts getting you hyped up. And then camp starts, and then camp the first 2 days is great. Then after that, it's like, oh my, another day. It's Groundhog's Day. And then the players, week 3, week 4 of August, are like, can we just get to the game? We're tired of playing each other and seeing each other's faces. So, yeah. And then now it's like we're so excited. We just had the whiteout like over a month ago, and we're so excited. And then now we're at the last home game, and we got all this change and chaos and what's not to love about it?
Chaos does roll. Well, let's talk about the big news, the absolute big news of the week. James Franklin taking the job at Virginia Tech. And what's amazing, you made reference to the whiteout, which was, I think, the first time the three of us got together to do this show.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal. And that was less than 2 months ago.
Yeah.
This team was ranked number 2 in the country, was going into the whiteout game, which arguably was James Franklin's biggest regular season game ever.
It was up there for sure. Yeah.
And as it turned out, I think in hindsight, it turned out to be even a
bigger. In some ways, it was.
In some ways, it was different. And here we are, less than two months later. James Franklin is the head coach at Virginia Tech. Mike, you're in the building. Are you even able to process that?
Yeah, the first time that I came on after that, that lull that I wasn't on the show, as everything was kind of getting worked out in the building and everything. It's been nuts. It's been, like I said from the beginning, it's been surreal. just from my standpoint, you know. And I say that with the appreciation of like I'm just one of the many, right? So like I'm not speaking for everybody, but for me and my family, it's a little surreal. But you know, it was kind of come to like I was telling my wife this. It was kind of like normal around the building a little bit recently. It was like, okay, yeah, everybody got through like their phases of emotions with the firing of Coach Franklin, and then it's like, all right, we're back to football, and then we get, you know, we're chalking up a win, and then Coach Franklin gets hired and all the rumors. So it's like, again, then now you got people in the building leaving with Coach Franklin as expected. But that's also weird because now you're seeing those name tags on those office buildings. They're not there anymore. And they've been here. A lot of those guys, Andy Frank and Kevin Thurlkill, 12 years.
Wow.
12 years. You know, I sat down in Kevin's office on Thursday and just talking to him. And, you know, he's asking me about houses and stuff like that. And it's just weird. It's because when he came in here in State College with Coach Franklin, he didn't have any kids, right? I don't think he was married. No, he wasn't married. And now he's got to make this huge decision in his life that he's been lucky not to have. And now he has to move, and he has kids and school and all that stuff. And what was kind of neat is like I'm looking at it, and obviously I was at Virginia Tech, so I was able to kind of like help him out a little bit. But it's surreal. It is nuts. And there's more people that are gone than I really initially thought. And but I'm happy for Coach Franklin. It's weird. I don't know if you guys watched the press conference. You see him
of course.
Yeah. Even his meeting with the board of visitors there. It's very weird.
It's strange seeing him wear a maroon tie, you know, and just starting to wear the Virginia Tech colors.
Yeah.
You know, Chris, I think we as fans on the outside, we find it hard to believe or understand what's going on inside the building. But us from the outside, this is an emotional roller coaster too.
Big time.
We have not had a Penn State football coach fired.
Correct.
I understand
for performance. Yes.
This is new for us to.
Yeah, no, we've never gone
comprehend.
through a conventional coaching search or coach termination or anything in the history of this program. So yeah, we are used to stability. We are trained on familiarity. And we could not be in more foreign territory than where we are right now.
Where are your mindset with this?
Do you know where my mindset is, Jim? It's on 98.7 The Fox, this week of giving campaign, because I got to read, I got to get in.
What a great segue.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. I got to get this in the first quarter hour. We got 4 minutes left. So here we go.
Go do it.
Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox has been broadcasting all throughout the day today from the Benner Pike Giant Grocery Store. So as Jim told you, we are here at Buffalo Wild Wings in downtown State College on the corner of Garner and Calder. But at the Benner Pike Giant, we've been broadcasting live throughout the day as part of 98.7 The Fox's Week of Giving campaign. And the station is soliciting non-perishable food items and monetary donations for the Faith Center of Bellefonte. And our very own AJ Roberts is on site until 5 p.m. today collecting those items. So stop on by, help your fellow neighbors during the holiday season, and make a difference. And that's an announcement from your friends right here at Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox.
And that's the Giant Market on Benner Pike.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah. Great to help the folks out in Bellefonte. Like, thrilled to be able to do that every holiday season.
I love
Good
Bellefonte,
stuff.
by the way.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I do.
It's a cool little community. There's a lot of good stuff going on there right now.
They got that new Italian Bonfatos too. The new Italian market there. They got the best. What is the noodle that I love? I forget, but yeah, great spot. I love that place. When I first moved here, I was staying in a little trap house there for about 4 months without my family, and I loved it. Love that area.
Well, I'll tell you. Wait a minute. We got 3 Italians here. You don't know what it is at the Italian market that you love so much?
I don't know. Cavatelli. That's right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so I'm from Youngstown, Ohio. Kind of a big Irish Italian area, and Cavatelli like I grew up on it, and I love it. And they had it because you go outside of like these areas that have that type of stuff. They don't have that everywhere. And then they had it the one day, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is my favorite place. They have really good stuff. Really cool place.
Make note.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, Bumpfados is great.
Yeah, free promo to them, huh?
Yes, sir. Yeah, free promo to Belfont. The folks who are on their way into town for the game,
guess
swing
where the
through
Friday
Belfont.
Football Frenzy
Yeah.
will be coming from next time.
There we go. There we go.
All right, let's get back to James Franklin going to Virginia Tech. As you mentioned, Mike, you spent time at Virginia Tech. You were there with Brent Pry, so you know Virginia Tech really well. Tell me about the fit, Coach Franklin, Virginia Tech. How good a fit is it for both sides?
I think right now it is a great fit. I think when Coach Pry was there and myself was there, it wouldn't have been a great fit. They were still operating from a revenue standpoint, like Coach Beamer days, right? And I'm not saying anything new. There's reports out there that have leaked, and people even inside saying that, in the past you asked for something and the administration would come back and say, well, Coach Beamer didn't need that. Okay, well, you're not adapting to times, and I've told people about my recruiting budget there. It went for X amount of money, and it was actually lowered the second year. So,
and X wasn't a lot of money.
To begin with wasn't a lot of money. How we were trying to operate, because Coach Pry was trying to operate like we recruited here, right? And that takes money, right? And we were calculated. We weren't reckless with it, but still, it was that old school. We don't need NIL. We don't need all these resources. Coach Beamer won here, and that's what it was. So at that time, like it definitely wouldn't have been a good fit for Coach Franklin. Now, Coach Franklin coming there in the position that they're bringing all these resources, raising all this money. They have donors. They have money. That Northern Virginia region, Loudoun County, second richest county in the country, like they have donors. So I think it is a good fit now. Now, I warned Kevin. I warned some of those guys when Coach Franklin walks in that building. He is going to probably lose his mind. He's going to say, we need that change, this change, that change. We need this upgraded. We need this and that. Like, it's not up to par to here. Coach Franklin took 12 years to get these facilities, and with administration to where they're at now, they're at the year 2 when Coach Franklin was here, right? So there's a lot to get done there, but there's a lot to build off of. The location is perfect for him. He crushes recruiting, obviously, in the state of Virginia. But here's the thing with that. He was recruiting the state of Virginia outside of the state of Virginia. When you recruit the state of Virginia inside of the state of Virginia, it's a whole nother dynamic, right?
It's funny. Brandon said the exact same thing. His final 3 schools were Virginia Tech, Penn State, and Michigan. And he said he basically ruled out Virginia Tech because for him it felt like going to 13th grade. Because he was in the Tidewater area at that point.
Yeah.
It is a great area to recruit, but listening to Mike talk about where Virginia Tech was, and Coach Beamer didn't need that. Chris, isn't that like deja vu all over again? Well,
it is.
Paterno didn't need that.
And I actually have kind of a broader follow-up question about that, Mike, which is maybe asking you to speculate a little bit.
Sure.
So punt on this if you like. But, one thing is we've been going through speculation about who could be the next head coach at Penn State. A guy I'm just personally a big fan of. I know you are too, Jim, is Manny Diaz. I thought Manny did an awesome job as defensive coordinator here. And some of the pushback I get from talking to people is they say, oh, well, I look at what he did at Miami. And I said, yeah, let's look at what he did at Miami. And let's look at what the guys who were at Miami before him did. And the results are very comparable. And I think one of the big differences between the Manny Diaz era in Miami and what we've seen so far from Mario Cristobal is the investment, the institutional investment that Miami is now making in football, which wasn't there for Manny. And you look at the Brent Pry era at Virginia Tech, I feel like they're not investing half, just like the raw dollars and just kind of institutional commitment to football that James is going to have at his disposal. Do you think, Mike, with some of these, obviously Clemson is there already, Florida State is there already. Now you've got Miami really doubling down, Virginia Tech doubling down.
SMU.
SMU is a great one. Yes. Do you think those programs at the top of the conference, is there going to be a trickle-down effect that touches off more of an arms race in the middle part of the ACC? Because certainly North Carolina has more money that they could be committing towards football. And you have to think there are 2 or 3 other programs. Stanford, it looks like with Andrew Luck, they are about to start spending a lot more. It's going to be interesting to me to see whether the ACC tries to create some more separation between itself and the Big 12 in terms of who can produce those on-deck playoff contenders that don't come from the SEC or the Big 10. Do you see it going that direction?
Yeah, I can see that. It's almost like the arms race when it came to facilities a couple of years ago. Not even a couple of years ago, a decade ago or whatever, when it all started.
We need a water slide.
Yeah, need a water slide. So then everybody's getting water slides or a putt course or whatnot. Now it's an NIL race, right? So everybody's trying to invest money, find those donors, find the resources that they'll be up par with the top tier conference. So I think like the Boston colleges of the world are seeing it.
It feels like BC, which I follow probably a little bit more closely because I'm always following Bill wherever he ends up. They're one of the teams that is really getting pinched by this.
Yeah, getting crushed.
Academic standards are a big problem there, and they don't really have the capacity, or frankly, I think the willingness in their administration to try to spend to keep up with. Virginia Tech says, "Hey, we're putting in an extra $200 million over the next 4 years."
Yeah.
I think Boston College looks at that and says, "Good luck," which is not good news if you're Bill O'Brien.
But my question is about this whole thing, and I talked to a lot of guys about this. I'm sure you guys have too. But just how sustainable is this year to year? It's not.
You know what? I'm older than you guys. I swear to God, for the last 40 years, we've been hearing that. Is it sustainable? It's always more and more. But one of the things that, and this is live sports, no matter what, with NFL, baseball, the NBA, you see what they're paying. That's not sustainable. But do you see those salaries in the NBA? Do you see what it costs to go to an NBA game?
Yeah, it's like when's the bubble?
Here's what I think that the bubble isn't going to close anytime soon. Is what sports has that no other media offering has. Is it's must-see TV. Anything else on TV, you can record it. You stream it. You could watch it today, tomorrow, next month, whenever. The only thing that people say, I got to see that, is live sports. That's it.
Yeah.
And so if you could offer up live sports, and now you have more folks who want to be part of this. You have, did you watch Thursday Night Football last night?
Yeah, I had it on.
Yeah. What channel were you on there?
I was on ESPN, YouTube.
Okay. But it's carried by Prime.
Yes. Oh, I was talking about. I was watching the Arkansas State game too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But,
there you
go.
But
the NFL game was on Prime.
Yes.
And Netflix and any of these streaming services, they want a piece of that because it's live entertainment. That's why, like, you see NBC now, and they're putting stuff on Peacock. Because why do I have Peacock? Because Penn State plays one game a year on Peacock.
Yeah.
So Jim now has a Peacock subscription. So you ask when will the bubble burst? I just don't see it ending. And I remember back in my day, Mike. I think it was Pete Rose was the first baseball player to make $1 million a year.
Isn't that crazy?
$1 million. Oh, my God. How in the world are they going to afford that?
That's insane.
I'll tell you what, though, Jim, back in your day, the Pittsburgh Pirates were a competitive baseball team because, back in my day when I was a kid, I can remember them playing in the National League Championship Series. And now the sport has reached a point where there is no chance the Pirates will ever make the postseason, let alone go to the NLCS.
Not with that owner.
Well, yeah, that's fair. But, over time, the ability of a few clubs to just go out and buy a World Series winner has just increased more and more. Now, we as Phillies and Mets fans can tell you, hey, there's no guarantee, but I can guarantee you the teams that will have no shot at it, right?
Exactly. But it's also, by the way, 1979 World Series champs, Pittsburgh Pirates. We are family.
Yeah.
I was 19 years old in 1979. You weren't even a gleam in your parents' eyes then, were you, Mike?
No, not yet. She was getting there.
Okay, maybe Galena. But let's shift back to James Franklin at Virginia Tech before I go off on my baseball tirade over the stinking Pirate. Spend some money. You got this beautiful ballpark. Go spend some money on players. You got the best pitcher in the game.
I know.
Spend some money around them. Anyway, James Franklin, speaking of winning, James Franklin, he's chasing a national championship. That's his goal in life. That's what he wants. It's what he wanted here. We thought just a mere 2 months ago this would be as close as he can get to it with this roster he had. Now he's going to Virginia Tech. Can he win a national championship at Virginia Tech?
Well, yeah.
Him or any other coach?
Well, what would you say 2 years ago before Signetti if the same thing was asked about Indiana?
Never. I would say that never win it.
Exactly.
I'd say that they would win a national championship in football the same year that Penn State wins a national championship in basketball.
Yeah, it's a new time. It's different, right? And that's why you're seeing this coaching carousel so crazy. Everybody's chasing that Kurt Signetti, that roster that you can flip in 1 year to be a competitor, to get into the field of the playoffs. Heck yeah, I'll say yes. He can win the championship there. He's got a hit. He does a good job recruiting, right? He's aggressive. So he's going in at the right time, right? They're going to be in an away game next week, Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
He's going to have kids on campus.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
No doubt.
And right now he's plucking all these guys right now while we're still in flux with no head coach. He's going to get those guys on campus. Then he's going to have the opportunity to really dig deep into that portal. And that's where he's going to make or break his chances for this oncoming season, I think.
Well, that's what I think. I thought Virginia Tech, this is a brilliant move by getting their new coach in now and not at the end of the season, Chris.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you asked me earlier where my mindset is on all of this. I think it is totally possible to be a Penn State fan who's ready for what's next and still be tremendously grateful for the time James had here, and honestly to wish him well, as long as it's not at our expense, which it's about to be for a little while. But I mean, look, I don't want to play the guy in the playoffs or anything, but it is really, to me, it's kind of like I felt as an Eagles fan with Andy Reid. It's like, hey, if we play in the Super Bowl, I want to win. Ironically, we're 1-1 now, but I don't begrudge you your success. Right. And so I think it was a good move for both parties. I thought it was a great hire for Virginia Tech. I like Virginia Tech a lot. I have a lot of friends and family who are connected to the university one way or another. It's a great fan base. They're great people. It's a great school. There's always been, it's just so odd we've never played because there's always been this sort of spiritual kinship between Virginia Tech and Penn State. We have a lot of faculty go back and forth between the two schools, kind of similar disciplines that we're historically pretty strong in. And I don't know, Jim, if you remember all the way back to the 2007 offseason, about a week before, it was a week to 10 days before the blue-white game. That was when there was the on-campus shooting at Virginia Tech. Oh, yeah. Yep. And Penn State's student body got together. And they partnered, I know we were right here on Garner Street with McClanahan's and I think a couple of the other vendors downtown. And they sold maroon and orange Penn State gear. Yes, and the money went to relief funds for the family and whatnot. And we even the students organized a block VT in the student section, so everybody wore Virginia Tech colors to the blue and white game. Student section had the block VT. So there's always been that strong relationship. I think Blacksburg and State College, Mike, I think you can probably speak to this better than I can, but I think there are some similarities community-wise. And as you said, he knows the recruiting footprint really well, so it's a good, easy transition for him. If you're Virginia Tech, this immediately puts you on the map nationally. And, in year to year, the ACC is wide open. I think, if anything, if I were James Franklin right now, I would probably not love the fact that every national pundit is like, well, the whole ACC sucks. Like, that conference is so crappy. I'm sure you're going to win it in the first year. I'd be like, hey, guys, can we pump the brakes a little bit? Like, I've been here 5 minutes. There's like 52 other teams in every conference now. Could we not just say, like, oh, yeah, you're just going to walk right into the conference championship? But that is the way they talk about the ACC.
Well,
partially, by the way, because the SEC runs the whole media. So it is to their benefit to basically run down the ACC, because it's a way for them to, like, whenever you hear anybody, especially on ESPN, which ironically is a broadcast partner of the ACC, just running that conference into the ground, what they're trying to do is make the ACC uglier so that the SEC looks prettier by comparison.
Well, ESPN is also known as the SEC network, first and foremost. But I find it interesting. I want to go back to what you were talking about with the ACC, and I wanted to ask you this, Mike, is those middle-of-the-road schools, not Florida State, not Clemson, but the North Carolinas and that level, to become take that next step. Compare what SMU has done, who they hired, what they did to take the next step, what North Carolina did, hiring the most famous NFL coach, the GOAT, and now what Virginia Tech is doing, hiring, a good recruiter, a successful college football coach. Compare those three programs. To me, that's really fascinating, the mindset of the group. Here's how we're going to build.
Yeah, I mean, the North Carolina one is nuts. Did you see that Bill was at the cheerleading co-ed thing? Me and my wife watched it last night. Watched the videos. I can't believe it's real. I can't believe
it feels like AI, like a fake.
It really does. She looks crazy too. She looks just like crazy lady, like vibes.
The crazy eyes.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Bill, what are you doing, man? But
think about like.
Okay,
think about the Atlanta Falcons are up 28-3 in that Super Bowl, and you're like, let me tell you about what's going to happen the next 10 years of this man's life.
That's what I was told Tiff last night. I was like, what is he doing? Arguably just known as the GOAT of coaching, and now he's just getting crushed because of this crazy lady. She's crazy. There's no chance that girl is normal.
How old is Bill Belichick?
He's 72.
Okay, he's 72. He's over 70. Among us here, I'm the closest to that, okay? My God, if you saw me at a cheerleading competition watching this, and I don't have a daughter or granddaughter there.
That's so creepy.
Yes.
So creepy. And you know how the conversation got started with me and my wife is because one of my interns, she had posted an interview or whatever. I was like, oh, she look how cute she is. She did a great job. She looks cute. She's 20. She just turned 21. And Mike or Tiff's like, you can't say cute. You can't. She's cute. I'm like, she's 21. I'm double her age. She's like, well, you got Bill Belichick out there. I'm like, so you're comparing me to Bill. But back to your original question, I think, or your statement is like, I think these middle of the road programs, it takes a quarterback. You got to hit your quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
It's become a more like NFL. That's why they invest so much in the quarterback. Like, you have to have a guy at quarterback.
That's why I always say Kurt Signetti is 2 for 2.
2 for 2.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can anybody at any time. Now, you need to have a roster. You got to have depth. You have to have guys and on the defensive line and offensive line. But if you have a quarterback, I think you got a chance.
That is the biggest variable of success or lack of success, which leads me to this question. I'll start with you, Chris, because I want both of you to answer this. What is success for James Franklin at Virginia Tech? What does it look like?
Oh, well, that's a good question. So let me think about that for a moment. I would say, the good thing is, I think he's got at least a shot with his ability to leverage his existing relationships, unfortunately, from my perspective, with Penn State players and recruits, to build a roster that, again, I'm not going to pile on the whole ACC stinks and you can just walk through the conference, because that's not true at all. It's hard to win football games at the Power 4 level, no matter where you're at. But I do think he has a chance to put a good foot forward by bringing talent right in the door. And, they could, without really stretch incredulity too much, win 9 games next year or more. But I think ultimately for him, I would say success for that program is like get them consistently to that level. And if you play for a conference championship at Virginia Tech, which is a little hard for me to process as somebody who I think in my head still thinks about them as Frank Beamer era Virginia Tech. It's been a long time. They have been down bad for a long time, kind of like Nebraska, honestly. Like we think about, Nebraska, 80s, 90s, like this is a blue blood. They're a power. They've been down a long time. Virginia Tech has been down a long time. I think if you get them to the point where they are consistently competing for a spot in the ACC championship game, which is therefore competing for a playoff spot, I think that's reasonable expectation to be in the top third of that conference, and then beyond that, anything is gravy.
Yeah, if you're in the hunt in November to be in the ACC championship game, I think the fans there will be ecstatic. Just like Chris said, me being there for 2.5 years, all you hear is Beamer days. Beamer days, and Coach Beamer's still in that building. He still does like a daily walk and. And everything, and the administration, they're all Beamer people, right? So that's what they're thinking. They want those glory days. And then Coach Pry comes in talking about bringing back those glory days. You got looking for what is in front of you now. Quit looking about at the past. Like this isn't the Beamer days. It isn't a staff of 20 coaches, and it's a staff of 80. That's where I was interested talking to Kevin and some of the guys that left. I was like, where you going to put all these people? Like,
you don't have the facilities.
I've been in that building. Like, you can't fit the 70 to 80 people that we have in the Lash building in there. So it'll be interesting to see all the dynamics of that. And I'm privy to seeing like how Kevin and those people, the director of football operations, people have to work, and Coach Franklin has a high expectations and standards for those guys, and those guys are going to be working their butts off.
Brent Pry right now has got to say, what the hell? Another $40 million for next year's budget? Where was that money when I was here?
It occurred to me that if I were Brent, I'd be like, hey, guys, what are we doing here?
Before you get going, I want to, because I asked the question about, you said success looks like maybe like 9 wins next year. I happened to take a look at Virginia Tech's schedule for next year.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, James Franklin hasn't even figured out where the restrooms are in the building, but I'm still going to ask for some predictions.
Sure.
I want to go over Virginia Tech's schedule next year with the two of you, and you could tell me how we'll go. All right.
But that's based off the rosters right now.
You could project how he's going to do with recruiting and all that. Come on, that's what we do here. You're not in the building. It's not, this is, we're doing this for the fun.
Yep.
All right. So I'm going to start with the out-of-conference schedule, which is kind of fascinating.
4-0, by the way, is my prediction.
VMI. Wait, I don't know if you know the games yet.
Yep.
Old Dominion with old friend Ricky Ronnie.
That's assuming Ricky Ronnie's still there.
That is a big assumption.
Just saying.
Next up, he plays a Big Ten game against Maryland.
Yes.
Ooh, I like that. The Loxley Franklin United. I like that.
And then James Madison, who may or may not still have the same that they have this year.
Indeed.
So VMI, Old Dominion, Maryland, and James Madison. You're saying 4-0?
4-0, yeah.
I'm going to say 3-1.
Okay. 4-0 or 3-1. All
here,
right.
Here, okay. So
that may change depending on the quarterback that they get.
That's a good point.
I'm going to give them VMI and ODU, who I think is going to have a new head coach. That's my guess. And I don't like Maryland just makes me laugh. Like James Franklin, he don't lose to Mike Loxley. Like I'll tell you what, I do like Malik Washington a lot.
I was going to bring that up. What has Mike Loxley done the past 5 years? He goes 5-0 the first half of the season, and they're always ranked. They're like, they're doing really good.
It is like the unstoppable force versus the immovable object. There's Mike Loxley creating this massive fool's gold record against his non-conference schedule. Like he'll go down to Austin and beat Texas. And everybody's like, oh my God. Maryland beat Texas. Meanwhile, at the end of the year, Texas has like 5 wins or something. But there's that Mike Loxley, but then there's like the universal constant of James Franklin kicks the crap out of Mike Loxley. Like, I'm sorry, I just can't take Maryland seriously. So I'm gonna give him 4-0. Again, same thing. Like, he is gonna have at least enough big boy talent to beat JMU. If Louisville can beat JMU this year, I think Virginia Tech can beat them next year.
I don't know. I'm kind of wondering about the JMU game, but I was just thinking with Maryland. Again, I'm the baseball guy. Derek Jeter, Mr. October, or Reggie Jackson, Mr. October. Mike Loxley is Mr. September.
Yes, no doubt.
Is that at Blacksburg or is it in Maryland?
It's at Maryland.
It's at Maryland?
Yeah.
Oh, so that helps. That helps them. Obviously, that playing in Blacksburg is, it's a pretty cool venue. Obviously, you guys know. So that gives you a little, gives Loxley a little bit of an advantage.
Mike Loxley at home in September. Don't bet against them.
And, they got a history now. So those two they're not texting each other on the daily.
That is true. Well, the other thing too is, James has typically had a lot of success against Maryland, irrespective of facing Loxley. I don't know. It's we're just making stuff up now because we don't know who's going to be playing quarterback for Virginia Tech for sure. I do like what Malik Washington, the guy I mentioned. For anybody who doesn't realize, that's Maryland's freshman quarterback, and he is a real talent. Now, of course, we don't know he's going to be playing quarterback for Maryland either. He's played so well that I think he's about to get some multi-million-dollar offers.
He's earned that. All right. Let me get to the rest of the schedule. Here's the first 3 games in conference. Virginia, at BC, and at Cal.
You did that Virginia games at the end of the year.
I had it at the start of the year, but either way,
I think it's in November. But it's at UVA, is it not?
No, I actually had it at.
Or is it's in Blacksburg this year?
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah, but it is in Blacksburg. Yes,
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, most of the dates for most of these games haven't been set.
Okay, I misread the schedule. I thought I just read them in order.
Yeah, they but they always have that at the end of the year. I am gonna go there. I'm gonna go 1 and 2.
Really, 1 and 2. Virginia, BC, and Cal.
I think he's going to win between 9 and 10 next year, so I got to put some losses in somewhere.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with my loss in the first 4 games. 1 loss there, probably to Maryland, and then 2-0 versus those 2 teams.
Well, now here's I thought this was the schedule, team. But how about this? At Clemson, at Miami, home Georgia Tech.
Ooh. That's a tough stretch right there.
Yeah, see, that's where, I'm concerned about that 9 or 10 wins.
Okay.
With playing at Clemson, at Miami, and against Georgia
This is
Tech.
the epitome of a speculation game.
Yeah.
I like
It sure
this.
is, yeah.
All right, you know what? I'm going to say –
welcome to the media.
I'm going to say 2 and 1.
Oh, jeez.
Wow. I'm going to go 1 and 3 on that.
Were there 4 games there? Which one did I miss? Clemson, Georgia Tech, Miami?
Sorry, 1 and 2.
Okay. I was going to say, that's so tough a schedule.
Haynes King is a senior, right?
Who is?
Haynes King?
Yes,
yeah,
I believe so.
Yeah, so he's leaving. Who knows what's going to happen with Brent Key. Miami, they're going to reload again with an already stacked roster in Miami. That's tough. Mario Cristobal isn't going anywhere. And then who's the other one?
At Clemson.
At Clemson, Dabo there. Yeah, they're going to – that's a 1 and 2.
Okay. Then the last 2 games are NC State and get this, Pitt.
Yeah.
Pat Narduzzi,
is that
James
Pitt?
Franklin. No.
No, it's at Virginia Tech, right?
Yeah.
I'm going 2 and 0 there.
I'll go 1 and 1 there.
Yeah. Which one do you think he'll lose?
I don't know. I'll pass on that one.
But you know what? I will be watching. It's in my mind. It's not Virginia Tech Pitt. It's Pat Narduzzi versus James Franklin.
Is he not the most unlikable guy ever? Too just even on the media that he brought up leading up to the game day versus Notre Dame. Like, who says that? And the way that he says it.
I don't care if we lose by 100.
Yeah, and then when he's on game day, he's just such an unlikable guy. And I should be vouching for him because he's a Youngstown guy, but. It's just so unlikable.
Pat Narduzzi and Pitt are such a perfect match
They
of
are.
personality and
He's
program.
the Pittsburgh dad guy. Like, he is that guy.
I hope they give him a lifetime contract. Truly.
They deserve each
And I'm
other.
sure now that James is in the ACC, he does too.
Yeah.
Well, all right, we've talked about this in terms of for Virginia Tech, for James Franklin. You know what, though? What does this do to Penn State in terms of, we already talked some about staff. How about recruiting? We still haven't hit transfer portal time.
Yeah, I mean, it's all dependent on when we make this hire, right? Like, the portal, are we going to have a coach for that? You know, like, that's huge, right? We keep talking about, well, some of these middle tier teams, how are they going to be next year? Who's their quarterback going to be? Who are they going to recruit? Are they going to, Signetti it and have a good eye for talent and bring a guy that can sling it and give you a chance every game? That's like, we need to be able to recruit the portal.
We are going
the high school stuff, like, that's great. Like, recruiting these high school kids, great. But it's the portal that we need.
This is going to be a monster portal year. We all know that. And that's the one good element about losing players, Chris, through the portal is you're freeing up money. You're freeing up free agency money to go,
no
buy
question.
the rest of your team.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't see any way you credibly argue this doesn't hurt Penn State in the short term because we're hemorrhaging commitments and for sure, our roster and our current / former commit pool is about to get raided. So it's going to hurt us in the short term. Now, the degree to which that impacts the 2026 season is like truly completely TBD. We have no idea. So I like to look at how do I think it will hurt Penn State, or what's the state of play for Penn State in the midterm to the long term. Look, would I, from that perspective, have preferred him to go to Stanford or Arkansas? Like, yes, obviously. Like, it is going to be tougher in some ways. But my message to everybody is, when in life is it true that you don't get better, or the competition doesn't give you the opportunity to get better, is what I'm trying to say. At Penn State, we should feel great about what we've got. We should embrace the competition. And as I have been pointing out to some of my younger colleagues in the media who don't remember the end of the Paterno era and the end of the Beamer era, where both of these programs were really clicking on pretty much full cylinders. I mean, you think about the last 5 years of Joe, there were 3 11-win seasons and 2 Big Ten championships. And then you compare that same period of time at Virginia Tech, they were at 10, 11-win seasons. They were contending for ACC championships, and they were going head-to-head in the DMV for recruits. And you know what? Like, sometimes Virginia Tech won, like with Kevin Jones, and sometimes Penn State won, and Larry Johnson Sr. was dominating as a recruiter down in that area. So I have gone through an entire decade of watching Virginia Tech and Penn State be operating at peak efficiency or close to it and just butt heads on the recruiting trail repeatedly. And the lesson from that is that, again, the competition probably makes you better. And you can coexist because there's enough talent to go around. Like, they will win some and you will win some, but it's a sustainable thing. It's not like, oh, there can be only one. And if Virginia Tech is there, they're going to suck all the talent out of that recruiting footprint and vice versa with Penn State. And Penn State really has been going through and having its way with, I think, a lot of the recruits that Virginia Tech would like to pursue. But really, like, the recruits Penn State hasn't gotten, they haven't been going to Virginia Tech. There have been other big power programs coming in and beating Penn State for those recruits. And so now maybe it's just going to be a case of, can we just keep ourselves in the game, where for a lot of these guys, it comes down to a choice between us versus them, versus they're going to Michigan, they're going to Ohio State, the SEC to Notre Dame. Yeah.
And you know what, Mike, right now.
Or they're getting twice the money to go to Texas Tech.
Right. Right.
Well, Mike, right now, all Penn State fans see is negative news. There's no, just got a new commitment. Just got and this is what happens when you're in limbo with no head coach.
Yeah.
And talk the fans off the ledge that Penn State's going to be okay, aren't they?
Yeah, we're going to be absolutely just fine. It's just I unfortunately I've been through this, like I've mentioned on the show multiple times on both ends of it, and we're going through it. But like, as long as we have the opportunity to recruit the portal, we have the opportunity to retain our players, current players that we want to be able to bring back, and we're just going to be fine in the short term. Long term, we'll be fine. Once we get this coach and he's hired, it's going to be a plethora of positive news. There's going to be the honeymoon phase. There's going to be, who's he bringing in? Who's the OCDC? Everybody gets jacked up about that hire. Oh, we bring back another kid that decommitted from us in our original commitment class. There's going to be hype about that. There's going to be hype about players that we bring in from the portal. And then it's going to swing the momentum into the whole coaching staff, the winter workouts, getting excited about the season again, going into the spring ball, getting excited to see this new coach and this new team out on the field. We're just going to be fine. Enjoy your turkey next week. Enjoy everything until we make this new coach hire, and then we'll be pressing along, moving forward, and we won't be thinking about Coach Franklin. Or you guys shouldn't really, because honestly, like when it comes to recruiting, I just wanted to make a point to this. Like Chris kind of touched on it. Like when Penn State wasn't getting the Virginia kids, they were going to somewhere else, right? South Carolina was killing it, right? They had they were killing. Beamer was killing it there with the resources. The one coach that they have, Torrey, does an unbelievable job recruiting the 757. Like I said earlier in the show, it's one thing recruiting the state of Virginia from out of state. When you're in state, there's a ton of politics in there. That 757 area is no joke. Like you can go in from out of state and recruit a kid there and pick them off. But when you're in state,
that's the Tidewater area.
That's the Tidewater area where ODU is, and that it's where Beamer made his money, right? And there's a ton of talent there, year in, year out. But they're going everywhere else, and a lot of those coaches, and because I coached at Hampton University, so I know a little bit about the dynamics there. It's like a cult, like in a lot of like really good hotbeds in America. You can't just go in there, and those guys are going to ask. They're going to expect you, especially at the beginning, to take their players. Whether or not they are a big-time player or not, they're going to expect you to take their players. And
you're going to take this guy because when I got somebody you really want, you're not going to see him. Yeah, 100%. Otherwise, yeah.
So juggling that and that relationship piece with them is going to be really tough because that is a tough – that area in that Richmond area are very different than Northern Virginia people.
I lived in Northern Virginia. They're like two different states.
It's completely two different countries. Yes. And then you go to Richmond.
Did you see West Virginia literally invited them to come be part of West Virginia?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's that much, that culturally different.
West Virginia will say there's precedent. And
well, indeed. Yeah.
Well, just a real quick story while we're on this. The first job I ever got, 21 years old. I started the same day as I was a graduate of Penn State. That was my first job out of school. Another guy got hired on the very same day. Started. He was from Virginia Tech. Our first debate was he was convinced the South almost won the Civil War.
Wow!
And he was still fighting. He was still arguing it. I said we kicked their butt in my history book. I'll tell you what, Mr. Chris, you got another read for us.
I do, yeah. Just to let everybody know, the Fox has been broadcasting from the Better Pike Giant Grocery Store all day today. We're collecting non-perishable food items and monetary donations to benefit the Faith Center of Bellefonte. But if you are looking at getting into the holiday spirit, you can do so right now in a big way, just a little while, at 3:30, when you can meet at the Bellefonte Borough Building to help with cutting the garland and decorating the downtown area lights. So just meet at the Borough Building, located at the police station just off Lamb Street in Bellefonte. And the more people that show up to help, the quicker everybody can get it done and get Bellefonte looking in the holiday spirit. So please come on down, meet at the Borough Building. That's, again, located at the police station just off Lamb Street in Bellefonte. Decorate the downtown. And again, you can donate non-perishable food items or monetary donations at the Benner Pike Giant until 5 p.m. today with Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox.
Well done, Chris. That was too long a read for me to do. So I'm glad you're here to take
It's
that task on.
what I'm
for me.
happy to be here and do for you, Jimmy.
You know what? As we just wrap up this hour, and then next hour, we're going to talk Penn State. I promise. But, Mike, it's going to be really fascinating from outside to watch what goes on with Virginia Tech, to watch James Franklin build that program and do the comparison to how it was done here at Penn State. You have the extra information of having spent that time at Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
This must just be so fascinating for you to watch.
It is. It's completely fascinating. All of it is. It's all fascinating to me. I was just texting with one of the guys that are there now last night. He was at one of the places that we used to take recruits, is bowling alley, and I was like, "Oh, that's a great spot." And I'm telling them, "Hey, that same plaza is a elite Italian place that you got to go check out." And so I'm like telling them all of the stuff, all the different dynamics of the town. It's crazy to think that out of all the coaches, my wife says, out of all the places, Coach Franklin ends up at Virginia Tech. It's crazy because it is, like Chris said, it's very similar to here. I truly believe the community, the fans, it's the school. It's just very similar. But I might get hate for this, but I always say it's a smaller scale of Penn State. And then when Coach Pry called me and I talked to him when he got the job, I was with Charles Huff. My first year with Charles Huff, one of my best friends. And I thought I was going to be with Charles Huff forever. And because when he got the head coaching job, we always said I wanted to be, his guy. And that's when you're in the recruiting space. You're always just looking for that guy to, be your guy. And then he called me, and Virginia Tech, I was like, this is perfect. This is perfect because it's Virginia. It's like Penn State. Coach Pry recruited the state. He is a Virginia Tech type of guy. I was like, it could be more perfect. Coach Franklin is just a completely different type of personality than Coach Pry, obviously, right? So going in there, I can see a lot of feathers getting ruffled, but he's got as he says it multiple times in his press conference, he has alignment there. So we'll see how it goes. But I think it's going to be tougher than most people think, just because the roster isn't that great right now. So there's a ton of things that are going to have to do that, while he's going to be battling a ton of the different things of establishing his processes, everything that he wants established. It's going to be the interesting thing that I told Kevin was that building that they're in, it's all sports. Getting into the Lash building is like getting in the White House, right?
Oh, yeah. I learned.
And so anybody can just walk through and go right past the head coach's foyer in Penn State or in Virginia Tech's building. That is going to drive them crazy. I can imagine what they're doing right now, roping off things, but yeah. So he's going to be battling all those things that he's annoyed with and he wants to get fixed while trying to get people on the roster. But I honestly think that recruiting that state is very. You have to. We did coaches caravans where we'd do things and we'd have just drink some beer, chalk talk with coaches in Richmond and the 757 just to strengthen those relationships. But we still weren't pulling the top guys. We're getting those middle of the road guys, but you need to have resources. You have to have that trust of those coaches for them to send them, because in this day and age, believe it or not, those coaches do have a say where those kids are going, especially in the 757 Richmond area. And that's going to make it even more important that he keeps maybe potentially one or two guys on the current staff that have those relationships with them.
You know what I'm thinking about too? That's great insight you provided earlier about the politics of the in-state coaches. Surely those coaches have some guys on Virginia Tech's roster right now, and there's maybe going to be some questions of, would I kind of like to clear some more roster space to bring my guys in? But if I send an in-state kid, if he feels like he's been forced out of the building, have I already, right out of the gate, compromise the relationship I'm going to want to have with his high school coach going forward as an in-state recruiter. So I have to get all that figured out too. I didn't even think about that.
No,
but boy.
Hey, I'm thinking about a kid that I actually coached is the head coach at Maury. It's the dominant school right now in the 757 area. Great guy, great kid, and a great coach too, great young coach. But he's getting all the best players there, right?
Yeah.
But the relationship, early on in our run when we were there with Coach Pry, that first year we didn't take one of his kids, right? He ended up going to Duke and killing it, and it burnt a bridge that we were never able to build again.
Wow.
So what if he has another kid right now, but he doesn't really fit what Coach Franklin wants, and he's not a 4 or 5 star?
Yeah.
Do you take him? Do you find that room? All right. Does that take another spot?
You
from a
eat
portal?
it because you don't. You're like, that could be, like you said, a bridge permanently burnt with an in-state program.
Yeah. So maybe he doesn't get the 5-star there this year. All right, but next year maybe he does, and the year after. Here's the other thing too, is crazy. Believe it or not, when recruiting changed in the spring, right? How many visits per coach you can go, right? When you go in that area and you post a picture that you went to Maury, okay, best believe that there are 40 other schools in that area that expect you to be at that school as well. And if you're not, you're getting a call. Somebody's getting a call. Somebody's pissed off, and now you have to put out a fire.
I'm sure you heard stories when you got here, probably even experienced it a little bit. Kind of some of the challenges Penn State had in southeastern Pennsylvania, that it took us a long time to work through some of those Philly area schools.
Oh, there is, and all it takes is, like you described, Mike, that one kid that was iffy and you made the decision another way, you've upset a high school coach. And going forward,
I think that's a good comparison. The Southeast, so the Philly, New Jersey, that area, right? That's a different type of kid and coach, right? In comparison to Virginia, the 757, the Tidewater area, it's similar. It's a different type of coach. You have to have a Deion Barnes on your staff, somebody to bridge who relates gap
to it
between the CEO of or James Franklin, right? You need to have a Terry Smith in Western PA to bridge the gap between, say, because an inner city coach, it has a very different life, personality, culture than the head coach of Penn State University or the head coach of Virginia Tech. Need somebody to bridge that gap.
And if I lived in Philadelphia for 15, 20 years. A Philly kid is a different kid.
Completely different.
And it's not just it's also basketball. There's such a thing as a Philly guard. There's a Philly basketball player. It's much different.
You could have 10 recruits walk into that facility at Virginia, and you can point out who the 757 kids are, who the Northern Virginia kids are, and who the Richmond kids are. You can tell. Or the Western kids are the very rural kids. There's not a ton of talent there, but you can tell. They're all different. It's all different. It's a really cool dynamic in Virginia. But Coach Franklin already has those relationships there. But I'm just sure those guys that he has relationships with now are saying, hey, congratulations, Coach. Can't wait for you to come to my school. Hey, I got this guy. And then now he's got to juggle that. But Coach is good with those politics.
All right, that wraps up our first hour. We got another hour to go. We are going to talk Penn State football in the second hour. But first, this break.
WFXS, once again. Your sports radio. Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority. WFXS America. 98.7, the Fox State College.
Happy Valley United is the NIL collective that serves all 31 sports and over 850 student athletes at Penn State. These opportunities allow student athletes to engage with charitable causes and participate in business engagements to build their brands while making a positive impact. The collective connects fans, alumni, businesses, and charities with student athletes harnessing the power of Nittany Nation. Go to happyvalleyunited.com to connect with your favorite Nittany Lion team.
Whether a department outing, entertaining your clients, or reconnecting with your family and friends, let Revel XP take the hassle out of tailgating. Simply show up, and immerse yourself in the tailgating experience. Full service includes bellhops helping upon arrival and tear down when you're ready to leave. Revel XP elevates your tailgate. Reach out to us directly at 814-933-4100 or go to revelxp.com for more info.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors. People invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
Hello and welcome to Friday Football Frenzy, brought to you by Keystone Sports Network, Fox Sports Radio 98.7, and Happy Valley United, the Penn State collective supporting over 800 student athletes. Now, let's start the football frenzy.
That's right. We are back. We're live on Sports Radio 98.7, the Fox Central Pennsylvania Sports Authority. We're in downtown State College. We're at Buffalo Wild Wings. This is the Friday Football Frenzy. If you're wondering, where is Buffalo Wild Wings? You're an old-time State College resident, a Penn State fan coming into town for the Penn State-Nebraska game, and you were wondering, where the heck are these guys? Well, it used to be a parking lot not too long ago, but we are right here in the heart of downtown State College. It's the corner of Calder Way and Garner Street. Come on down and join us. Have yourself a delicious cold beverage, a great selection of wing sauces right here at Buffalo Wild Wings. Happy to be hosted by the good folks at BW3 State College for the Friday Football Frenzy. I'm Chris Buchignani, Jim Galanti, Mike Villagrana of Happy Valley United here, and a special announcement again for everybody in the range of my voice and the listening audience. 98.7 The Fox has been broadcasting all day long live remotes from the Benner Pike Giant Grocery Store, collecting non-perishable food items and monetary donations to benefit the Faith Center of Bellefonte. So we hope you'll come on out to Giant until 5 p.m. today. You can make a non-perishable food donation. You can make a monetary donation. You can benefit the Faith Center of Bellefonte. But if you're looking at getting into the holiday spirit, you can do so in a big way in just a little while at 3:30 when you meet at the Bellefonte Borough Building to help with cutting the garland and decorating the downtown area lights. You can meet at the Borough Building located at the police station just off Lamb Street in Bellefonte. The more people who show up to help, the quicker we can get it done. Let's get into the holiday spirit and mood and decorate downtown Bellefonte. And once again, you can donate non-perishable food items or monetary donations at the Benner Pike Giant until 5 p.m. with Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox.
You know what, Chris? I'm very glad that was a long read.
Yeah. As far as the audience knows, you've been sitting here the entire time, Jim.
Okay, then I was sitting here the entire time. I was not running off to the restroom.
Definitely not.
All right. I'm Jim Galanti. That voice you heard was Chris Buchignani. Also with us, Executive Director of Happy Valley United, Mike Villagrana. We got the gang all back together again. We had a really fast first hour talking about James Franklin and the job at Virginia Tech. What else are we going to talk about here in State College?
There's nothing else to talk about, certainly.
All right, let's shift gears. Let's get to Penn State. The search for a coach here is still ongoing. And you know what's really fascinating to me is early on, Chris, you were talking about before we went on the air how tight-lipped everybody is. We're not getting any real information, okay?
No.
And now that we've got a guy from inside the building, we'll get the real skinny on it. And Mike, is it true? You mentioned to me earlier you're going to announce who the new Penn State coach is?
Yeah, it depends. I'm working with marketing right now. See how we want to maximize that.
Stay tuned until the top of the hour.
Yeah. keep checking your phone for updates.
Yeah.
But you know what's really fascinating to me is it seems like every week there's a new hot name. Okay, as candidates for the Penn State job.
Sure.
We've gone through a Kurt Signetti week, a Matt Rule week, a Brian Hartline week, Eli Drinkwitz, Brent Key. My prediction is we're coming into the Kalen DeBoer and Bob Chesney phases, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We're getting into that phase. But for the past week, Mike, it has been the Terry Smith phase.
Yep.
Who knew? All you had to do was win one football game, and the fan base will look to you as the new coach.
Yeah, you know what's funny? Because we talked on Sunday or for the Monday show, and we talked about Terry. Or I forget when we were talking about Terry, and I just kind of went into it. And I was just like, me and Tiff were talking about it again, too, the other night. It was like, he's just the most genuine person and easy to like guy because there's no BS talking to him. He's very likable. He's very transparent. He's genuine. His family is, his daughter, his Justin. I just saw Justin. He's around.
And of course, you're referring to Justin King, his son.
Just like such good people. His wife. I remember the first time here. His wife, because Terry. I worked under Terry when I was first year, and he kind of helped me grow too. Essentially, like from an evaluation standpoint. At one point, he was like. You know what I like, so go ahead and offer them. And like to me, as like just a recruiting assistant, that's like huge, and like that gave me a lot of confidence. And thinking about it now, like that helped me get to where I was going. But his wife would do Ubers here. I mean, you're talking about assistant head coach here, making pretty good money, making a good living. And she just like doing it. Like she's just like a people they're all amazing people. And I couldn't be happier for them. But yeah, it was funny me telling you about that on Sunday or Monday. And then like the video of him coming out at the press conference on Monday. And it's easy to just feel that, right? He's a real person. He's not giving you some spiel. He's just being real, and especially today's day and age, I don't know. I really appreciate that. So, yeah,
everything's fake. Like you log into any social media app today, and like half of it is AI generated slop. It's literally fake. And then here is
real,
just the realest, rawest, most human thing, and totally unplanned, totally unscripted. Certainly that's part of it. I do think, though, it's funny. I spent a lot of time talking about this week and kind of trying to work through it myself. I mean, look, if I'm being honest with the audience, which I always strive to do, the percentage chance that I think Terry is going to get the job is very low. So no matter what I think or how I wish it would work out, if you were asking for what is my rational assessment of the situation, I'm telling you, don't get your hopes up. Beyond that, I'm saying you can't make a decision with your heart. And this is speaking as somebody who is as easy a mark for that Monday press conference as exists on this planet. Like a guy who is an obvious leader of men getting moved to like emotional breakdown in a press conference because of how much he loves Penn State and because his dad went here and his kids went here and he's sitting in the same seat Joe Paterno did. I mean, sign me up immediately, right? But this is a direct dollars to program, a $1 billion investment Penn State University has made in Penn State football. And the downstream financial implications for the university as a whole and the community are probably at least as much. So this is a big-time business decision, and it's the height of foolishness to make any kind of decision, but especially a big business one with your heart and not your head. So I think what people have been trying to do this week is it's not just the press conference. It's not just that clip of that great halftime locker room speech, which, to be fair, does make you want to run through a brick wall. You've got to figure out, can we bring our heads and our hearts into somewhat of alignment? And I do have to say, man, when you consider the just like gallon full bag of turds that were dropped into that guy's lap when he got this job, it's like everything is in disarray. This is, as we talked about at the top of the show, an experience that this institution has not gone through. So nobody who works here, nobody who roots for this team, nobody who has lived in this community for their entire lives has gone through what we're all going through together right now. And here's a roster full of kids who were expected to win a national championship. Instead, they're 3-3. And the relationships-based coach they loved just got shown the door. And all you have to do is break in a redshirt freshman quarterback who's never taken a meaningful snap and take the lot of them on the road 2 out of the next 3 games, all against top 5 defenses. And by the way, the middle game is at a place that Penn State's won twice in the last 32 years. And as you were doing all of that and making the transition from career position coach and figuring out the lines of communication with 2 coordinators you didn't hire and learning the other side of the ball and getting ready to play top 5 defenses and breaking in the redshirt freshman quarterback, could you find a few minutes to call up the kids in the recruiting class we are currently hemorrhaging commits from? Good luck. The results, given all of that I just said, have been pretty damned impressive because all this team has done from week to week to week is play tougher and better and more disciplined football. And I think there's been a smarter and smarter deployment of our personnel from week to week to week, where it took whatever horrible universal like witch's curse is on this team to cost us a home upset over number 2. And we still have a chance to finish the season with a winning record. And I look at all of that, and I look at his track record of developing NFL defensive backs, which, as you know, Jim, was not a hallmark of Penn State football for decades. And his ties to the university and his connections with high school football coaches all over the state. And I put the whole package together and I say, this is the improvement I've seen from this guy in 5 weeks. Man, my head gets closer to my heart all the time. That's all I'm saying.
You know what, Chris, really well put. I want to give my take as I went through the progress of Terry Smith being named. When he was first named interim coach, I've never heard anything but positives about Terry Smith from everybody. One of the guys we do a show with regularly, Andy Shea, he covered Terry when he was in high school. Jim, the greatest high school coach I ever saw. He was fantastic. He was all of these things.
He and Noble were on staff together with Matt Rule, actually, at Temple.
At Temple.
And Brandon said he's as solid a football coach as he's ever been around.
So I got really excited about it. And in all candor, when I his first press conference and all, I said, man, I don't see that dynamic personality. I don't see it. And even when I was, I'll say, blindly optimistic about him, I was still saying there's no way he gets the job, okay? Pat Kraft has kind of cornered himself, I think, in the big game hunting. He needs to get that big name, and Terry would not qualify for that. Well, then, just like a typical Penn State fan, as they lost those first couple games, I'm like, well, of course. And then we start to see it started with Indiana, a really good team. And this Penn State team played with heart. They played well. I started to see some of the things you and I talked about with the play calling that I wasn't happy with. I started to see that change. And then we saw Michigan State. We saw the offensive line actually seem to be playing well. Then just to add to it, Chris, yes, that halftime speech, and all of a sudden I was checking my eligibility to see if I had any time left because I wanted to go suit up for this guy who bleeds blue and white. All of those things. And you put it well, Chris, with the heart, the head. So that's on the outside looking in. Maybe I was just so happy to win a game again. Now, Terry, you see him in the building. Tell us about what is Terry like? Is he a guy capable to essentially be the CEO of a multi hundreds of $1 million business? And it is a business now. So you got everything that comes with it. Is Terry ready for that kind of position?
I mean, yeah, I guess you got to ask yourself, all right, are the kids going to buy into what he has vision for them, right? And basically, I mean, Chris could have said it better, but he got thrown into this storm and just basically he stayed true to himself, didn't try to be somebody else that he didn't try to be like what he thinks a head coach should be. He is himself, genuine, and the players bought in. I told you on Sunday, my interactions with the players, it just seemed different. And I specifically like Donat. He just seemed different. Like he seemed like looser, happier. Like I don't know what it was. He just seemed different in a positive way. And then he goes out and crushes it in the game. Right? Is that an effect of because of what Terry had to say in a meeting and how he's coaching these guys up day to day? Maybe if he's able to do that and then surround himself with like a cap guy, a GM, and all these other pieces, why couldn't he? If he has the players buying into what he is doing and what he wants them to do, and they're playing for him, why not?
Let me throw this out at you, Jim. A couple of things. Because I did 30 minutes on this with Landon Tengwall on his channel. So there's a plug too. Please go watch it. It looks good for me when I get a good high view count on these videos. But so a couple of things we talked about. Everybody is always trying to look for the edge, right? I think now more than ever, the landscape's flattening out a little bit. There's more parity in college football than there ever has been before. So
there's now a path. We talk about Indiana.
There's a path for Indiana and SMU to go to the playoffs. Absolutely. So everybody is looking for little edges because the little edge is more valuable now than it ever has been before. And so I said, everyone is trying to look for a trend to copy. Just everybody says the NFL is a copycat league. Well, football is a copycat sport. But in any market, the late adopters are always the ones who are chasing the trend that has already crested. And so everybody right now is already looking for looking for the next Kurt Signetti.
The next James Madison.
Yeah, and by the way, I got to be careful when I say that because it sounds like I'm denigrating Bob Chesney, and I'm not. I like Bob Chesney as a potential candidate for Penn State a lot. But I said, who are the hot names in this hiring cycle that we're talking about right now? Brent Key, Jeff Braum, Kenny Dillingham. What do all three of those guys have in common? Do either of you know? Right off the top of your head.
They win. Google them.
No. Offensive guys?
They're all alumni of the school where they are coaching. And we've seen that success. You know, right at the top of the ladder, of course, you look at Jim Harbaugh and Kirby Smart, Mario Cristobal now at Miami. There are a handful of other examples around the country as well. And, of course, people can always give you a Scott Frost at Nebraska or a Mike Woodson in Indiana basketball. But I said, think about when you're trying to maximize small edges in a flattened college football landscape right now. What does an alum coach do for you? Well, first of all, every power program, you've heard me say this before a million times, Jim, has its own distinct personality. Michigan has a personality. USC, Texas, Alabama, Florida. These schools have personalities. And the alumni know what those are, and they know if they're good football coaches, which has to be a prerequisite for everybody, they know how to extract the most value of what does it mean to be a Nittany Lion? What does it mean to be at Penn State and to sell Penn State? So they can be better at getting the most out of your differentiators. But what's more, they will probably be more loyal to you and your job than, the average Joe, as evidenced by the fact that Kenny Dillingham and Brent Key and Jeff Prom probably aren't going anywhere this cycle, even though there are other places who would have thrown more money at them. And certainly Terry is an example of a guy who's not going to command $12, $13, $15 million to be our head coach, like Kalen DeBoer might. And so if you're not going to spend Kalen DeBoer money on the head coach position, you then have flexibility to reinvest that fund, those funds that you would have been otherwise spending on your head coach, bring in great coordinators, hire a great GM, spread the wealth around a little bit. I mean, so often you see successful head coaches are as much a product of successful coordinators. Like Dabo's not been the same since Brent Venables left. So if Terry has already shown that he's somebody who can develop talent, who can inspire and recruit young men, who can understand what it is to be a Penn Stater, to energize both the traditional and the new factions of our fan base, and to culturally bridge the divide between the Paterno era and the Franklin era, and do all of those things. Get that man some competent coordinators who can fill in the gaps and get him a great GM and turn him loose. And I said, and if you're Pat Kraft, and you thread the needle and this thing hits, you'll be able to charge $1 million a speech at corporate retreats for the rest of your life, because you will be able to talk about how you courageously anticipated the next big trend in college sports before everybody else recognized it, and you doubled down on institutional culture and you won big. Now, of course, the problem is if you're Pat Kraft and you fire James Franklin, you end up hiring Terry Smith and it doesn't work out, you're the night manager at McDonald's. So you got to have some big brass ones to make that hire. But, fortune favors the bold is what I'm saying.
And you know what? First of all, Dabo also hasn't been the same without Trevor Lawrence at quarterback. I'll point that out to you also. Yeah, Mike, you talked about the quarterback.
Yeah.
So, it's like this now. For Terry, I'm wondering, the job is so big. Can you get the perfect guy who's good at everything? He's the X's and O's guy. He's the relationship guy with the players, the relationship guy with the donors. He understands NIL. He's able to be the great administrator because you talked about how big that staff is. So can you take a guy like Terry Smith and say, hey, we're excited because he's got that, he bleeds blue and white. He seems to be able to handle the X's and O's, do that part of it. He probably doesn't have what I'll call that corporate, experience. But now it's so big that you can bring in a GM to do that. Is that a viable strategy?
Yeah, from the corporate side, that's what you have administration too. Pat has great people around him, the brass. Those guys can help him with that. I just think it's a great point by Chris. Now, it's so everybody wants the pretty thing out there, right? And it changes year to year. Our guy Kiffin wouldn't have touched him a couple of years ago, right? Summerall loses one game, and it's now he's not in the hunt for Florida or another school because he lost one game. He's not the hot coach. We're basing these hires off of one season where they built up and maybe had a really good roster, and they adapted to that unique culture in that school. That's tough. That's real.
Forget about a good season. It's week to week.
It is.
Penn State fans who were talking about Matt Rule and he loses a game, and all of a sudden, the same thing. We can look at Terry until he won at Michigan State. Nobody was saying, "Hey, how about giving Terry Smith the full-time job?" And you know what? If they lose to Nebraska this week, you'll hear the end of the Terry Smith
and just to
right?
be fair, I hear everybody saying, "Oh, you get one win against the team you're supposed to beat." To me, my antennae started to get, my attention got piqued. As soon as we played hard at Iowa and we hung with Ohio State for a half and we played Indiana so hard.
And played well.
I looked at it and I said, okay, man, going back to everything I said, the degree of difficulty to take over this thing midstream it was like that scene in Spider-Man 2 where he's trying to stop the train and he's holding all the, the spider webs. That was Terry Smith. I'm like, okay, can we give the guy a little grace that all he did was almost win those games? But now he's got 3 winnable games ahead of him. And you got to win them. You got to win your winnable games if this is your job interview. I'm not going to knock the guy for not beating the number 1 and number 2 teams in the country with like a week to prepare and a freshman quarterback who's never played, including one of those games being on the road. So I think it's just reduces it down to say, oh, it's just 1 win. And again, if you're at home and you get everything going your way and Nebraska comes in with our backup quarterback, you lay an egg, not a good look.
But it's also, Terry could be the greatest guy in the world. Everybody loves him. Don't care. You got to win. But
you could be the most qualified candidate in the world. You go and you biff the job interview. Like, too bad, so sad. On to the next one.
It doesn't work. But for me, I like, as you said, there was effort against Iowa. But to me, I thought the turning point was Indiana. I thought this team played a great game against a really good Indiana team, who, by the way, I'm not going to say they were lucky, but boy, did they make every play. The guy, the last touchdown completion at the back of the end zone.
Yeah.
There were 2 catches in that game, throw-catch combinations, that if those guys tried to replicate it 100 times, I bet they fail 99.
Couldn't do it again.
It ain't going to happen. So that to me, but then could you do it again? Could you confirm it? And they did, because I saw things against Michigan State that we hadn't seen all year, which was the offensive line. You and I talked about it quite a bit. I saw some effort there that I don't think I've seen in other games. And so the running game was able to take over. We saw play action pass on first down for 75 yards.
Jim, you're supposed to beat Michigan State. Yeah, you're supposed to beat FIU also. And did the run game look great against that team?
And UCLA game and Northwestern game, and they didn't. And we saw some really aggressive play. And at the press conference, and it's not just because Manny Diaz is my guy who I have the man crush on, but Terry specifically said, we put back in what, how Manny Diaz played the Predator and we got aggressive.
Yeah.
And, to me, there was a coach. I used to, as a kid, I'd write down quotes from coaches that I loved. And one of the quotes I always loved is, he said, the key to coaching is find the best way to do things and realize it may not be your way. So for him to just say, hey, Manny Diaz did this, and it worked. Let's go do that.
Yeah.
And it worked for him. So to me, I thought that was a great coaching move on his part.
I would say the number 1 quality why he would be a good head coach at Penn State is because of the tough conversations he is able to have. It's a skill set that's so tough. It's hard. It's a skill set where you want to be very likable, right? But then you see something that you need to fix, and you need to be able to go and have that conversation with that person, that coach. Example, Colt Nicky, right? Like, he was very open about, we need to do XYZ, pass the ball down the field, right? Whatever, right? That's tough for coaches to do that, because you're paying that corner X amount of money, and there's, believe it or not, a lot of egos, when it comes to that, right? So, but I saw him do this a long time ago, because he oversees recruiting to a certain extent, right, with Andy Frank. And there's a lot of tough conversations you have to have. He had those, and in a way that it didn't come off as personal. It came off as like, well, all right, let's think about that. You know what, Terry has a point, all right? And you may not agree with it, but it makes sense at that time. So he has that skill set that I think it's very hard to have, and that every probably successful businessman has to some extent. And that's what he's doing right now. He's having these hard conversations. Hey, Coach Knowles, why don't we do some of this stuff that Manny did, right? We're paying Coach Knowles $3-some million. And he's able to go into that room to Coach Knowles to say, hey, why don't we do this, XYZ? And he's doing it, and you don't see any resentment. You see the players. There's transparency. There's no gymnastics with words, right? That I think we all get very annoyed with. And that's why I think that's a number one skill set that I love about Terry, along with the combination that he's just an awesome person. But to be able to flip the script and be business savvy like that makes him all more qualified for the head coaching position, if anything else.
Yeah, and let me point this out too. I'll throw some more names out there. Dabo Swinney, Ryan Day, Marcus Freeman, all assistants elevated to head coaching positions. And Dabo, as well as Brent Key, were interim guys who ended up being elevated. And at the time of their hiring, were both viewed as kind of like not super exciting fallback candidates. One thing I get sick of hearing, and I understand, probably because he had to, Pat talked a big game in that press conference following James's firing. I do not care about a home run hire in January. Like Jimbo Fisher was a home run hire for Texas A&M. Like, don't win the press conference in January. Win football games in the fall. Jim, you and I know nobody in the history of the sport of football screwed up their introductory press conference worse than Nick Sirianni did. I mean, it was terrible. Yeah. Was anybody after the Super Bowl saying like, yeah, but his introductory press conference wasn't very inspiring? Who cares? I said, if we had the media we have today in 2000, they would have been murdering Ohio State for firing proven 10-game winner John Cooper and ending up, great Ohio State. What an embarrassment. They had to settle for some FCS nobody. They hired the Youngstown State head coach, who just happens to be Jim Tressel, right? Who, I don't know if you guys are aware, is now the lieutenant governor of Ohio. Yeah. Did you know that? That's crazy. Yeah. But
went to school with his daughter.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Lived in Boardman.
So I don't want to hear it.
Well, here
go get the guy you believe in, and then maybe it works out or it doesn't. But if you are making a hire because you're afraid that Paul Feinbaum and Josh Pate are going to make fun of you in February, get out of the job. Just go get the best guy.
Yeah, look at Brian Kelly getting hired. They thought LSU hit a home run bringing Brian Kelly into that system, but he's not a good fit. And I couldn't agree more.
Eagles fans couldn't have been more excited when we hired Chip Kelly, and they couldn't have been angrier when we settled for Doug Peterson and Nick Sirianni. We're all idiots. We're the most fickle morons on earth, sports fans. So don't worry about what we have to say. We'll come around as soon as the W starts stacking up.
Well, you hit it too, and we could keep listing. You mentioned Scott Frost earlier in the show, but we could add to that. Charlie Weiss at Notre Dame, Bill Belichick at North Carolina.
A decided schematic advantage. You remember that?
Gosh, yeah. And, Bill Belichick, well, he's actually showing you the advantage of bringing an NFL coach in. I'll give you the name that you and I have talked about, Rich Rodriguez. Great fit at West Virginia, but not at Michigan, right?
No, not even close. Should have never stepped foot on that campus.
But you were there with him at West Virginia, right?
Yes.
That was a fit, right?
Perfect fit. Could have done anything.
And you know what?
That's why he's back.
And hopefully that works for him. Chris, what do you got for us?
Yeah, before I make my announcement, just to follow up on that point, I knew Rich Rodriguez at Michigan was never going to work because, as I said, every great program has its unique character. And what he just wanted to do schematically, that brand of football was never going to work at Michigan. It was a perfect fit for West Virginia and that era in the Big East, and probably will do well in the Big 12, but it wasn't Big Ten football. And he didn't fit Michigan. You got to find a guy that fits your program.
Yes.
Switching gears. An announcement for those of our valued listeners who are out throughout central Pennsylvania here in the range of 98.7 The Fox. The station's been broadcasting off and on all day from the Benner Pike Giant Grocery Store. They're collecting non-perishable food items and monetary donations out there. The Benner Pike Giant for the Faith Center of Bellefonte. And if you're looking to get into the holiday spirit, you can do so in a big way. Right now, 3:30, meet at the Bellefonte Borough Building to help with cutting the garland and decorating the downtown area lights. So just meet at the Borough Building that's located at the police station just off Lamb Street in Bellefonte. And the more people that get to show up, the faster it'll get done. So head on down to the Borough Building in Bellefonte, get into the holiday spirit, and decorate the downtown. And once again, until 5 p.m. today, you can donate non-perishable food items or monetary donations to benefit the Faith Center of Bellefonte at the Benner Pike Giant with us here at Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox.
Again, that's the Benner Pike Giant,
yes,
right down the road here from State College. We're talking about Penn State's search for a football coach. Terry Smith has been the conversation this week. I did want to shift a little bit more general about what to look for in a coach. And I read something that really registered with me. And one of the common threads for a lot of these coaches that have been successful, and, you know, we see Curt Cignetti. What did he say when he first got hired? I win.
I win. Google me.
Google me. And it really struck me. How about finding the guy who wins no matter where they've been at whatever level? Is that still a legitimate way to look for a coach? Or does it actually come down to, Mike, I mean, literally Vince Lombardi or Nick Saban? Do people know who Vince Lombardi is?
I think so.
Okay.
I would hope so.
They could walk in the door, and still, if you don't have the budget, you're not going to win, are you?
He's the coach that lost the 1960 NFL championship game, right?
And what team was that, Chris?
Yeah, go Birds. Sorry, go ahead.
But, you know, doesn't matter if you don't have the budget. And by the way, the budget translates into getting the quarterback, right?
Yeah, 100%. I just think it's so funny now because just really thinking about it. Who would you want? You want somebody just coming in like a Brian Kelly? He gets this big paycheck. How motivated is he? Right? Hugh Freeze, he gets his second stint. All you hear about him is golfing, right? A bunch of rumors like that. Like, you hire a guy like Terry Smith who bleeds blue and white. Like, he is going to do whatever he can to be successful here, because it means more than just the win, right? It's about Penn State. It's about his legacy. It's about Penn State's legacy here. It just makes sense, honestly. But, you know, it's tough. It's a tough job for Pat Kraft and these ADs right now, because you got to adhere to some of these message board people, but hopefully he doesn't. Like,
you really don't. You should not listen to any of those people. You shouldn't even know who they are.
But they have to. Look at Sark coming out and have to like make a statement because somebody posted something on Twitter. Like, it's real, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
But you know, I think we have the brass in the administration that they're not going to really look at that, and just based off of, you know, who Pat Kraft is.
But here's the other part to it: is what happens on Twitter, though, is read by all the Penn State fans, who include the big-time donors,
100%,
who are the people who are going to write the checks. So when the guys who write the checks come and say, "Hey, Pat Kraft, how about, you know, I'm sorry, but they're an important element to what goes on here."
Yeah. How about the other element of the transition and knowing, like Chris said, like each school and culture is unique, right? Ole Miss is even in the same state, Ole Miss is way different than Mississippi State. Virginia is way different than Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
Right. Like here, it's true here. It's very unique than any other school or blue blood in the country. So who better to have at the helm than somebody that the players believe in and play for, right? And also knows the inner works of the Penn State ecosystem, know the nuances between the AD and the president and the administration circles, right? Everything, all the dynamics that play in here. Like, it's huge, because there's going to be a learning curve. Say if you hire a Brian Hartline that's never been on campus other than coaching here, you know, when they're playing Penn State, like, there's a transition of like, oh, where is everything? Where are we going to take our recruits? Where should I live? All that stuff. That's eliminated. And then that effort is poured towards the 2026 season and all that. So there's a ton of positives you can look at keeping it Terry, especially the noise will continue to grow, especially as when we win, if we win these next two games.
If we win in blowout fashion tomorrow night, I'm talking 10+ points.
There's a tsunami.
Especially a night game, everybody's going to be juiced up.
Yes.
And you know what, Chris, you brought up an important point earlier in the show is Terry is probably just about the only guy who could tie together old-time Penn Staters, the Joe Paterno faction, and the younger generation who don't remember.
Can I say this? It's kind of awkward. It's kind of different because for me, it's seeing that because Terry could never, like, if Coach Franklin was still here, Terry could never really post that, right? Like that's just it's not. Like, Coach Franklin was, you know, everybody knows like he wanted his own legacy and he's focused on that, right? Terry posting that stuff, it's kind of refreshing. You know, it's good to see even some of the people, some of my friends with the quarterback club that I talk to every week, like they're happy to see that. So yeah, that Joe Paul, being able to bring in all the generations, regardless, like that's great for the fan base, great for the community. It's great for the administration. You know, like
it activates the 100% of the resources at your disposal. And the other thing I will say,
that's a great way to put it. It activates those resources. Yes.
Yeah, and even so, irrespective, like of course, like I said, I'm the easiest mark in the world. Of course, I love he puts that picture of the Paterno book, which I also have sitting on my own bookshelf. I love it. But setting all of that to the side, I want somebody with some guts. And just the fact that he's willing to just step in and within 5 weeks be like, hey, yeah, now I am the head coach. Like, hey, guess what, Andy Kotelnicki? I know you're making $1.05, okay? I know that I was below you 3 weeks ago. Well, now I'm not. So give the ball to Katron Allen. Like, this is now a running offense. Just pretend we're Michigan 3 years ago and run the offense like that. I like that. I like the take charge attitude. So let me say, so Tengwall and I do this video, and I told everybody at the top of it, I said, I'm an emotional roller coaster right now. I'm ping-ponging back and forth, and you're gonna hear us work this out in real time. Until we got to the end of it, we were both like, did we just talk ourselves into this? Like, if you're listening to me now and I'm talking you into it, great. Understand the percentage chance is very low. It's infinitesimally low. It's not zero, but it's close to zero. Also understand that one thing I have looked at, and I was reminded of this during the fourth quarter of the Indiana game, that so much of what will make the next head coach at Penn State successful is at Penn State and has been at Penn State for a very long time. So would I be over the moon as a Penn State and college football fan if Terry Smith was our head coach? Yes. Real talk. I'm not saying anybody else has to be this way, and I certainly am not saying the rest of the fan base, who maybe doesn't agree, has to live under the tyranny of my personal preferences. But me, personally, I would rather go 8-4 with Terry Smith than 11-1 with a hired gun. It would mean more to me. And I know there are a lot of people who are saying that's crazy. Get that attitude out of here. Somebody shoot that guy. Get him off the air. I get it. I totally understand. I am just, I know that's you. You don't care. You bet with your head and not with your heart, which is smart. You're Italian too. I'm a hard on the sleeve guy. Like, to me, like if I want to be cutthroat, it's a 1 or a 0 binary, wins or losses. That's what the NFL is for. I want to feel something to the core of my being, and Terry coaching the Nittany Lions does that for me. I am probably in the minority. So what I am saying is, although I would be thrilled if Terry came in, I don't think he would go 8-4 every year. I'm saying I personally would be okay with it, and that's maybe 30% of the fan base. There are half a dozen guys, at least. I will be super psyched if Penn State hires. So one of the things I think we need to keep in perspective is that no matter who gets hired, and trust me, I've gone through this covering these coaching options, there's a percentage that think you are brilliant for loving the guy you're talking about, and a percentage who think that you could not be further afield. Brian Hartline, bunch of people think it would be brilliant and forward-looking. There are a bunch of people who think he's the worst guy on the market, and that's true for every single coach. So let's just keep in mind that when the new guy comes in, first of all, he's going to benefit from a united fan base. And second of all, most of what's going to determine his success or failure is already here.
Well, that's the point. I want to ask you about this, Mike. Is I agree with you. I'd rather go 11-1 with one of our guys, okay? And
Sure.
Terry's one of our guys.
Sure.
But I think the point you make is this is not a case where there's only one guy who could do this job.
Not even close.
But what is what is the constant here is it's Penn State, Mike, and that means something. So no matter who coaches here, they're going to have the advantage that it's Penn State.
Yeah, 100%. We've always said that. We are one of the blue bloods, always will be, regardless of who is coaching. This place is always going to be rock solid, right? Look at the Sandusky time, right? I don't know what other school could get through that time, right?
You are not kidding,
right? Honestly, and I've always
thought it was a death sentence, not the technical death sentence, but we thought it'd be at least a decade.
But I remember
saying
at that time. Well, I remember saying after being here for like a year or two, I was like, just like, no matter who's coaching here at the helm, like this place is always going to be in a good place because of what Coach Joe Pa and people before him built up, and then what Coach Franklin was able to build on top of that. Like it's the infrastructure, the way that it's built, the community, like it's always going to be okay. We're always going to be okay. Now, we might run into some times where we don't meet 10, 11 games, but we'll always have the opportunity here because of the infrastructure, and we'll be able to, get good recruits here, get a good coaching staff here, get people who want to live here and raise their children here. I mean, look at me. I'm back. I'm back here, and I'm back in a role. Thank goodness I'm in a role where it's different, and I'm not tied technically to the head coach, but I am in a way, but I'm not. So hopefully I want to be here for the next 30 years, raise my kids here because that's the type of place it is here. So I just think this place is more special than just one person. We've said it all the time, and I've had the advantage of going to other places and telling people like Penn State is just different. It's cliche. I get it, but it is to me and the people, us too.
Yeah.
Obviously, you guys obviously feel the same way. So having somebody at the helm like Terry that feels the same way, like people eat that up that are Penn Staters, like just the real, right? Like just not like saying things and word gymnastics. He's going to be real with you, right? The players and the parents see that, and then they want to play for you. That equates to wins, right? So I don't know. I don't know. The corporate guy at the top these days, like, I get it, but that guy has to be able to connect with the fans, and more importantly, everybody in that building.
He's got to develop football players and coach and win football games. And one of the other things I do like about Terry, man, is I like that hard scrabble Western Pennsylvania Aliquippa background.
Yeah.
I like that, like Mike Ditka, Darrell Revis, like that place is
that's a
hotbed.
Penn State attitude.
Yeah, of like just that's, even though those are both Pitt guys. I mean, we that's keep Tyke Hayes through thick or thin, man. That guy is going to be a star, I think. I like the Western Pennsylvania football mentality. That's been the bulwark of Penn State football throughout its history. That's you look at the guys Joe Pa built his reputation on in the 60s and 70s. You look at a guy like LeVar Arrington, Brandon Short, Paul Posluszny. I mean, there's always like a great Western Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh guys. So I like that about them. I know people are getting sick of the coaching search stuff.
Yes.
Because we are just bombarded with information constantly now. So it feels like it's been forever that we've been going through the coaching search. The analogy I gave the other day is like, how when you were into like the last leg of a really hard workout and you were just dying and like you really just do not want to finish it and you feel like crap, like that like end of the workout or a long run or whatever. And you're like, oh man, my muscles are really hurting. I am miserable. It is an effort to get through this. But then as soon as it's done, as soon as you stop, you feel great. And the only thing you remember is how good you feel that you finished that workout. You don't think about the misery you went through. That's how we're going to feel once the coach gets decided. So everybody's like, oh, just name a guy and be done with it. It's like, no, take your time. If you're Pat Kraft, let the market come to you
Do you
and make the best choice, because the minute you make the hire, all the people screaming for you to just get it over with, they're not going to be going through the muscle ache of the workout anymore. They're only going to be saying to themselves, as I look back on that, do I think it was worth it?
Well, do you think, and Mike, I'll ask you this, how important is it to get the coach as early as possible? With the calendar is, I have it written down somewhere, what is it, December 3rd is the first day the recruits could commit. Then we have the portal window, which, by the way, the portal window starts January 2nd, runs through January 6th. And at that point, that is the day after the college football playoff semifinals. Where I'm headed with all this is, could Pat Kraft afford to wait for one of the playoff coaches? You know, Kalen DeBoer is one of the names.
Yeah.
Alabama's a pretty good team. They could still be playing football when the transfer portal opens.
Yeah.
Could they afford to wait that long?
Yeah, I don't know. This is all new, right? So, like, we haven't been through this, so I haven't been able to see it actually happen real time. But, like, just thinking about it, speculating, I don't think so. I don't know.
It doesn't feel like they can.
Especially if you want to get this coach on off to a right start, right? Like, he's kind of going down 7-0, coming into it, because he lost the high school recruitment and he lost the portal chance. So, like, that's tough. You don't want to put your new highly regarded coach in that position right off the bat. But maybe, I don't know. I did hear something that Lane, like, they were serious. It was a national media person. Lane Kiffin could say that he's going somewhere else. He leaves before the college football announcement, and then they dock them a couple spots in the rankings.
Oh yeah, that's a big discussion right now.
Wow, maybe we're going into that world now.
Well, the thought has always been that a head coach would continue to play would continue the playoffs, but now, yes, Lane Kiffin and I think Ole Miss, credit to them, is saying, you know what, or get off the pot.
Yeah, I respect them saying that. Like Lane, come on, like, buddy, we're good. We're gonna have our first ever 11-win season, and this is how we're gonna do it. Like, come on, man.
And they're cornering him to make the call, which good for them. And the other part of this equation is, some people don't like me saying this, but I think it's got to factor in. If you look at, I know, Mike, you hate this when I look ahead this far, 1-0. I'm looking at next year's schedule. There's 10 wins there. There is.
Conceivably, sure.
As of right now, as those rosters stand. I just think we're just in a time where these rosters are flipping 30, 40 guys.
But you just got done telling me, we're Penn State. Man, we're going to reload. But you've got to be able to look at that schedule. And I think Penn State, if people put the point spreads down before the season starts, Penn State will be the favorite in 9 to 10 games next season.
It's very possible. Yeah, certainly.
And
I'd rather not, though. I hate being favorites. And I feel like, I don't know. I've always hated it. I've always been part of teams that are kind of just like the team that's been looked over, and then they play with a chip on their shoulder type of deal. I think that had a part of it this year a little bit with us. I don't think we've ever have we ever had that kind of like hype around our team, right? Plus you added, they're getting paid X amount of money now. Like, I don't know. Let's try to keep the hype at a minimum as much, who's our non-conference next year?
It's 3-0 to start the season.
No. Every team could kick our ass.
I'll tell you what, boys. The last time we went to the Link to play Temple, it did not go well.
That's
so let's not count our chickens.
We got Temple next year. But you do remember, before this season started, you and I had that same discussion, and I was already writing off the out-of-conference schedule, and Penn State didn't play well and still won every game by over 30 points, Mike. That's my argument. And I'm using this as a discussion point that, I'm sure Pat Kraft knows what the schedule is next year. And that's part of the calculation to say, I want to win next year.
Yeah.
And I think conceivably, to not punt on next season, you got to get the coach in here definitely before the portal. And if you could get him here before, commitment day, all the better.
Yeah. I just don't see it helping us if he's not hired before the portal.
Yeah.
And probably soon, because now you got to get your staff aligned to be able to recruit the portal, right? And then you got to be able to, who are you keeping within the football facility, so they're able to help you bridge the gap with some of the things that they don't know about, help with the agents of these kids. It's a whole game, man, and I just can't see it being, I don't know, helping us if we don't get a coach before the portal. But I don't know. It's a new time.
The last game of the regular season game is on November 29th. My prediction is we have a new coach either November 30th or December 1st.
Yeah, I think that's probably likely.
Whoever it is.
But what if it's one of those coaches that are potentially in the playoffs? Are those coaches going to be, like I said about Lane Kiffin, are those coaches going to say, okay, I got to leave?
No, see, I don't think, other than Lane Kiffin, I know there's some talk Kellen DeBoer is not happy at Alabama. He ain't leaving unless they don't make the playoffs. Yeah. If they're in the playoffs, he's got to stay. Yep. I can't believe it, but if anyone, it would be Lane Kiffin. Would be the first guy to break that precedent, I think, and leave before a playoff. But it doesn't make sense. I think you're only and that's why I think Penn State's search is going to be for a coach who can take the job right after the regular season. Guys, this 2 hours went way too fast.
Sure did.
Enjoy the game tomorrow. Enjoy the tailgating.
I'll be coming to your tailgate.
Looking forward to it.
I haven't been there yet, so I'm looking forward to it.
As I tell everyone, bring your appetite.
Can't wait.
Sign us out here, Chris.
Stay safe, everybody. And if you're in the Bellefonte area, head on down to the Borough Building. You probably still find some folks who are setting up the holiday lights downtown, or head out to the Benner Pike Wall or Giant for the last hour, 4 to 5 p.m. If you want to make a monetary donation or non-perishable food item, we're out there with 98.7 The Fox.
Very good. We'll see you all next week on the Keystone Kickoff Show and on Chris's show. Take care and enjoy the game.
Go State.
WFXS, once again, the Fox, your sports radio. Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority. WFXS America. 98.7, the Fox, State College.
Happy Valley United is the NIL collective that serves all 31 sports and over 850 student athletes at Penn State. These opportunities allow student athletes to engage with charitable causes and participate in business engagements to build their brands while making a positive impact. The collective connects fans, alumni, businesses, and charities with student athletes harnessing the power of Nittany Nation. Go to happyvalleyunited.com to connect with your favorite Nittany Lion team.
Whether a department outing, entertaining your clients, or reconnecting with your family and friends, let Revel XP take the hassle out of tailgating. Simply show up and immerse yourself in the tailgating experience. Full service includes bellhops helping upon arrival and tear down when you're ready to leave. Revel XP elevates your tailgate. Reach out to us directly at 814-933-4100 or go to revelxp.com for more info.